Hello, my name is Cameron. Today we're going to be covering a basic beginner's guide to the AR-15, covering some steps that you need, some items that you need for your first AR-15. Either you've never used one before, you have very little experience. This guide is going to be to help you get out there, get on the range, and get you firing, and get you enjoying your new AR-15. We're going to cover the 4 firearm rules of safety. We're going to cover some basic items that you need for maintenance and cleaning and stuff like that, getting this ready for your first range trip, and then also covering some stuff at the end of the video showing you basic maintenance after your range trips. Going to cover some basic items needed for your first trip to the range, and then we're going to cover some fundamentals of shooting, getting you prepared to actually grab the rifle, get out on the range, and get grouped and zeroed. So first, the first rule of firearm safety is to treat every weapon as if it's loaded. So to make sure that this is not loaded, we're going to clear the firearm. We're going to use the charging handle here. This charging handle is used to pull the bolt back. You can see the bolts coming back as I pull the charging handle, exposing the chamber. We're going to visually inspect the chamber to ensure that there is no ammunition, there's no round in the chamber. You can let loose or let the bolt ride forward. We are then going to place the weapon on safe. This is already on safe, but typically in fire position, you'll go the safety selector switch from fire to safe, ensuring that the rifle is not loaded. You never want to point the firearm at anything that you are not willing to destroy. The muzzle, the business end of the rifle, should always be pointing in a safe direction, either downrange or when you are off the range. You should have the weapon on safe. It should be clear of any ammunition, and if you were to have it slung or you're holding it, you want that muzzle pointed down at the ground just in front of you. Make sure you're not flagging your feet with the muzzle. You want to keep your finger off of the trigger and out of the trigger well until you're ready to fire. You don't want any accidents happening. You don't want any gear or anything getting caught in there. You want to make sure that the trigger well stays clear until you're ready to fire. And then you want to know your target and what's beyond it and what's around it. So you don't want to cause any damage, cause any harm to anybody. So you're responsible for every round that comes out of your firearm. So you want to be cognizant of what your target is, and then anything before, adjacent, or beyond that target, you want to be cognizant of. So to kind of elaborate on some basic components of the firearm, we covered the muzzle. We covered with the business end of the rifle where the projectile comes out of. We've covered the charging handle, which is how you charge the weapon. The safety selector switch. The trigger, which is how the firearm is fired. You squeeze the trigger, it allows the firearm to be fired. We have the magazine release. When you have a magazine in here, this button allows you to drop your magazine. And then here on the other side, we have the bolt catch. So when the bolt is to the rear, you can use this, pushing down on that, and that keeps the bolt to the rear. When you have an empty magazine in, the magazine catches the bolt, and the bolt catch actuates on its own. So when you want to send that bolt forward, it's kind of like a paddle. You're going to hear the bolt go forward. Sending the bolt forward there. You have your forward assist. This is used if there's any gunk or dirt or something that's not allowing the bolt to go forward all the way. You can give that a slap, which manually pushes that bolt forward so you can fire the weapon. Then on top here, we have a red dot, referring to this as the red dot or the optic. This is how you aim, get on target, and then fire the weapon, making sure that you're hitting whatever it is you're aiming at. We'll cover how to group and zero that stuff in just a minute here. So to cover some items that you need for basic maintenance out of the box, we are going to need a rag. Any shop rag, anything like that will do. Basically anything that's lint free. You don't want any fuzzies and stuff getting caught up in the action. You don't want anything to prevent the firearm from firing. We have some basic brushes here. This is used to just get any dirt or other things off of the bolt, out of the chamber and out of the trigger. And then we have lube or oil. Have a couple different kind here just to show you what's available. Any gun lube will work. Whatever your local gun store has will be fine for the most part. We have a basic multi-tool here. Help you adjust your optic. It can help you break down your rifle. It can help you tighten any loose bolts or screws or anything like that. And then here, things that are needed for the range. You're going to need Ear Pro. I prefer the muff, the ear muff style Ear Pro. I think it's more comfortable. It covers your ear instead of sticking like the earbuds, the foamies or the triple or whatever, how many flanges they have. I don't like those things sticking in my ear. I prefer the ear muffs. These provide more protection. These in particular are electronic, so you can hear what's going on around you, and then whenever something loud, the firearm fires, the electronics will shut off and allow the muffs to do their job, so you maintain your hearing. You also want a pair of ballistic eyewear, a pair of ballistic safety glasses. They are not your typical impact rated stuff for like tools, power tools. Civilian rating for ballistic is ANSI Z87.1. You want at least that rating. There's also military ratings, but they have a bunch of other requirements too. But the basic civilian standard ballistic rated eye protection are what's needed. Then you'll need your magazines. This allows the ammunition to be fed into the rifle. There's multiple different kinds. Any magazine typically will do just fine. And then you also, of course, need ammunition. This is just 55 grain. All that means is the weight of the bullet. This is 223 specifically. Any AR-15 off of the shelf from your local gun store will fire 223 5.56. This is just cheaper. It's easier to just go out and shoot a bunch of the cheap ammo for zeroing, for grouping, for basic, competitions or training and stuff like that. There's also heavier stuff for hunting and for competitions or what have you that you can get if you get into that group. But just 55 grain helps you get on the range for this basic video, helps you get out there. And we also need a target. We need something to shoot at to zero and group our optic. I prefer just this paper grid style. Gives you a basic grid so you can follow where your shots are landing. We'll go more into that, into our grouping and zero portion of the video. And then something that helps too when you're on the range is a sling. This attaches to the rifle for a 2-point sling. You can hang the rifle off of you and it'll stay secure to you, so that way you don't have to worry about setting stuff down and whatnot, keeping your hands free when you have the rifle on you. So we're going to move into just the basic first step of maintenance. When you get your rifle back home, it will typically have oil from the manufacturer, the oils that are put onto components of the rifle for shipping and storage. You don't want those oils on the weapon when you're firing. They're not designed to move and allow the firearm to function by removing dirt and stuff from the key parts. That, if you get dirt and stuff in there, it will keep the firearm from functioning. So the oils, the packaging oils, you want to clean off. This rifle here, I've had for a while. It's been fired recently. It's been cleaned. So I'm just going to break it down and show you the basic steps to what needs to happen. So to break the rifle down, you have the lower receiver, which is the lower receiver, the grip. You got the buttstock. And then you have your takedown pins here. So all you do is you just push on these takedown pins. And then you pull them up. That allows you to separate the upper receiver and the lower receiver. All we want to do here is just use the charging handle to take the bolt carrier group. This is the BCG, the bolt carrier group. And you can see I have lube on here because that's how I store my weapons. So you just get your your cloth. You just wipe it down. You'll see the oils on there. Doesn't need to be 100%, but you want to get the majority, any very obvious signs there. Wiping it down. And then you see how the bolt actuates in and out. Just clean there at the neck. You can see I've got some fuzzies on the end of the bolt there that I don't want there. Wiping it down. And like I said before, it's not rocket science. You just want to get the majority of that oil off so no dirt and stuff sticks to it. And then just that same rag, charging handle can come out, and then you want to clean in the upper receiver. This is where the bolt carrier group rides. So you just want to get in there, wipe that down, just use your finger. And then down in the chamber there, again, just get a portion, wipe it off there. So parts of the bolt here are clean. So I'm going to use my lube. You want to get the bottom rails here on both sides at the bottom of the BCG, and you're just applying lube to this liberally. Up and down the bottom, the sides. And then this component here is the gas key. Those are the parts that basically rub against the upper receiver. That metal on metal contact you want to prevent, just like with a car. You don't want metal on metal contact. You want good oil change. So this lube is basically the oil keeping those metal parts from grinding against each other. The neck of the bolt here. Drop some lube there. You don't want a big buildup of lube on the face of the bolt, but these cutouts here, what are called the lugs, you do just want to kind of get some lube around those. A little sticky gets all over you, just getting to give my fingers a quick wipe down. So the charging handle just goes into the top here. That gas key rides in that channel of the charging handle. Just push that forward, and then you just put it back together like you took it apart. So those takedown pins, you want to make sure all the way out. Mate the upper and lower. And you're basically ready to fire. That gets all the oil and stuff off the inside, all that packing oil off the bolt, off the inside of that upper receiver and out of the chamber. And now you've got lube on it, and it's ready to go fire. So now we're going to move into the fundamentals of shooting. I got to do a quick adjustment, and we'll be right back. So now we're going to be covering the fundamentals of marksmanship, the fundamentals of shooting. We're going to be covering stable position, aiming, breathing, and trigger squeeze. Going to make sure that our AR-15 is clear. No ammunition, no round in the chamber. We are going to be putting the weapon on fire and squeezing the trigger to dry fire to demonstrate this portion. We want to make sure the rifle is clear. So for stable position, you want to stabilize your AR-15. In this case, I just have an ammo can. Nice, stable, comfortable position. The buttstock is going to be in your shoulder pocket. Cheek rested there on the stock. Nice cheek weld, nice, comfortable, stable position. Next is aiming. You want to be able to clearly see whatever it is you're aiming at. In this case, we're looking through our red dot. The red dot, it will be on the bullseye of the target. You want a good sight picture. For breathing, for the natural pause, natural rhythmic pause, and inspiration and exhalation, You want to get the same breath pattern. You want to fire on the same breath, whether you choose the top or the bottom of your breath. You need to make sure that you fire at the same spot every time to allow for good accuracy. And then your trigger squeeze. You don't want to pull and jerk the trigger towards you. You want to give a nice, good, even squeeze. The firearm should almost surprise you when it's shot. So to put all that together, we have good staple position. Stabilized on my ammo can here. Buttstock is in my shoulder pocket. I have a nice comfortable cheek weld. Aiming, I'm aiming down the sights. I have my red dot on the target. Nice even breathing, deep breath in. Letting it out. Going to have the weapon on fire. I have breathed in and out. Nice, even trigger squeeze. Squeeze, 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 fire. I'm going to put it all together again. Nice stable position. Nice comfortable buttstock is in my shoulder. Good cheek weld. I have good aiming. I have good sight picture. I have a clear view of the bullseye. My red dot is aligned with the bullseye. Breathing in, out, weapons on fire. Nice even squeeze, 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 squeeze of the trigger. Those are the 4 fundamentals of marksmanship, 4 fundamentals of firing the weapon. We'll get more into it when we get out to the range. We'll show it all to you live, so you get a better understanding of what's going on. And then we'll also cover the grouping and zeroing everything once we get out there. So we'll see you in just a bit. All right, so here we are out at the range. Today I've got a target set up out at 25 yards. We're going to start our grouping and zeroing portion of the video. We're going to make sure we have our ear pro, we have our eye pro set up. We've made sure that everything downrange, everything's clear downrange. In this case, we have berms 270 degrees at our left and our right and our front. So we don't have to worry about anything running around out there. So we're going to go ahead and shoot our groups, get our zero, then we'll make adjustments from there, get on the bullseye here at 25 yards. Okay, we're sitting down, getting into position. We want to make sure that we have something to brace off of. In this case, I just have an ammo can that's filled with my ammo. Keep it close by so I can fill my magazines as needed. We've already adjusted our length of pull. We have everything ready to go. We're going to make sure we have our ears. So we're coming in, loading our magazine, using the charging handle to charge the weapon, making sure that we place it now on safe, now that the weapon's been charged. Gonna get a nice stable position, make sure the buttstock's in our shoulder pocket, using our offhand, our opposite hand, to secure and brace against whatever it is that we have it on. Like I said, in this case it's my ammo box. Going to adjust the red dot so we can see. As it is, it's nice and bright out. We might need to have a brighter setting compared to when it's darker out. We don't want the red dot so bright that it's completely obscuring, completely blocking the target that we're looking at. Typically we want to turn it on. It'll be a nice bright starburst, and we want to maybe come one down depending on your eyesight and depending on how bright it is. You don't want it to completely obscure and wash out the target that you're aiming at, so you can actually see the bullseye. So I've got my red dot set up. I'm gonna come in, settle down. Remember all of our points of shooting, so nice even breath in and out. Safety comes off. Steady positioning. Trigger, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Release. We're gonna do that for each shot. Then make sure safety goes on. Drop your magazine. We'll go check out our first 3-shot group. So here we are downrange. We have our first 3-shot group. You can see we have 1, 2, 3 rounds. This was my point of aim. My point of aim stayed the same for all 3 rounds. You can see now my point of impact is roughly 1, 2, 3 boxes low, and 1, 2, maybe 1.5, 2 boxes there to the right. We want to mark our shots here. I just make nice little even marks kind of around the border here. Just kind of helps me see where I've hit. Now at this point, we're going to do this 2 more times. That way we know that our positioning, all of our fundamentals and everything are the same. Our point of impact's the same. So for now we're going to do 2 more 3-shot strings. Those shots should be in and around this spot here now. If nothing else changes, if I know I've maintained my fundamentals and I've got good shooting practices, my point of aim should be the same. So we're going to go back to the table and we're going to do 6 more rounds. We're going to send 3 more rounds. I've loaded my magazine. Loading. Returning the bolt. And again, same point of aim, same fundamentals. Shooting 3 rounds. Here we are again on our target. We've shot another 3 rounds. We can see now, kind of hard to distinguish, but it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3 kind of on the outside. Gonna kind of mark that. 2, 3. So right now we're all in that same square. Really happy with that group. So gonna go 3 more. Should all be in that same group, same point of aim, should have the same point of impact. And then we're gonna go through. If those 3 rounds are good, then we can go ahead, go back to our red dot and make some adjustments from there. And go ahead and load up 3 rounds. Again, same point of aim, all fundamentals, gonna send 3 rounds. Let's go check it out. So that group looks good. We've got one that's just a little bit outside. I'm not worried about that at all. So we've got 9 rounds in this box, all within this same spot. I'm happy with that. So now I want to make my adjustments. So according to this target, depending on which target you have, examples of we've got instructions down on each target. Typically, we're just going to move left and then up. That's all we need to do here. So I'm going to move left 1 box, and I'm going to go up 1, 2 boxes. That should be approximately 4 clicks per box. We'll see how that works out. And again, each target that you have may be different. Typically, these are MOA or inch boxes on your target. So again, just read whatever instructions you have. Read the instructions on your red dot, and then you can decide how much you need to go over. And then you can repeat the process. If I were to go over left too much, or if I were to go up too much, we can repeat this process, or we can go down to 3-shot groups. Since now we've grouped all of these 9 shots, we know that our point of aim, our point of impact, our fundamentals are all good. The red dot's good. So now we're just adjusting 0. So that's what we're going to do, about 1.5 boxes over, and then 1-2 boxes up. Should put us right there in that bullseye. All right, so we're back at the table. Going to make our adjustments to our red dot and try to get zeroed here. So now my red dot here has the instructions on the cap telling me which way to turn for up and right. So then the opposite of that would be down and left. So we can see on our target that I was right about a box and a half, and I was down about 2 boxes. So that means I need to move my group to the left 1.5 boxes, and then up 2 boxes. So that's what we're doing. We're adjusting the point of impact with our red dot when we're moving. We're maintaining point of aim, and then the point of impact is what we're adjusting now that we're zeroing. So just to kind of show you what it looks like, going to go in, I'm going to go left, you can feel it clicking. You can either hear it or feel it clicking. Each red dot's different, each optic is different. So whatever that you're doing, just go by the instructions on your optic and you'll be fine. So in this particular case, go in 4 clicks to the left for that 1 box. That's 4. And then I'm going to go 4 clicks per box up was 2 boxes, so 8 clicks. Then we're gonna put 3 rounds down and see how that looks. So we're back, we made our adjustments. I've loaded the magazine, already dropped the bolt. I'm gonna go back in, send 3 rounds, and see where we're at. Check it out. So here's the result of that last 3 round shot. We can see that I've only moved over half a box and up about a box or a half a box to a box. So that means that my 4 clicks per box were not enough to move a complete box. So that means now if I've moved 4 and I've got about half a box, that means that 8 clicks should bring me over to the full box. So I've gone over 4 clicks, I've gone up 4 clicks, which has brought me over half, up about half. So what we're gonna go do is we're just going to add 4 to those adjustments, which should bring us to a complete left shift of 1 and a complete up shift of 1. And then we're gonna do 8 clicks per box, should get us up there. So I'm looking at 4 clicks left, about 4 clicks up, and then another 8 clicks, maybe in some change to get up into that bullseye. So we're gonna go ahead and mark these, and we're gonna get back to the table and get some shooting done. All right, so I've made my adjustments. I've loaded my magazine. Coming back, sending 3 rounds to the target. Check them out. So we can see here I've already marked our new shots. We came up from these 3 to these 3. I moved over 4 and then left 4 and then I moved up about 12, trying to give that 4 to give that the rest of that complete box, and I moved the half, and then another 8 trying to come up the rest of the way. So I think I'm going to do 2 clicks left just to kind of shift this over this center line just to be more centered. And then I'm going to go up another 8 clicks and try to be in this vicinity. Realistically, this center white diamond for an AR-15, or using what we have, the 55 grain rounds, is sufficient for any kind of training. If you're going to be doing any bench shooting, if you want to do any competition shooting, a group in that size is going to be sufficient enough to get you started and get you out there. And then if you want to progress, if you want to do your own research and stuff on your own rifle, you can adjust your zero range. You can go out to 50 yards, depending on what you want to do. But for now, like I said, we're just covering 25 yards and just basically getting us on target so we can get you out there and get you shooting, get you training. All right, we made our adjustments to the red dot. Load up, get in position. Send 3 rounds. Hopefully be on the bullseye. Check it out. All right, so we've got our final 3. This top group here, you can see I've marked. We moved that 2 clicks to the left, which brought us from our last group just over that line, center on that line. That 8 clicks up to bring up another box was a little bit too much, but in all reality, for 25 yards for basic shooting, getting you out on the range, on the bench, and get you into some drills if you'd like, this is very usable. Looking at the thumb, your thumb, my thumb is covering each of these groups. That'll get you on target all day for any bench shooting, for any training, for any class that you'd like to take. And I'm happy with this. If you'd like to continue, obviously you can tinker and go back down to, maybe 4 clicks, 2 clicks to try to drop this down even more. But for the purpose of this video, showing you how to group initially and then 0, tracking each of our groups shot up to our final product here, I'm happy with this. We're going to go ahead, we're going to go back to the classroom, cover anything that I may have left out, cover our closing statements, and then if anybody has any questions, we can address that at the end. So we're back from the range. We've successfully grouped and zeroed our new AR15. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to disassemble and do basically maintenance cleaning on this. It's not recommended or necessary to do a deep clean and run solvents and scrape all the carbon off of every single piece after every range trip. Every couple 100 rounds or so, 200 rounds maybe, depending on your range trip or if you're running a class, depending on your round count through the rifle. It's recommended you just take it down, wipe it off, add some new lube or oil to it, throw it back together and do a functions check. That'll keep it running smooth for a long time. And then every couple thousand, maybe 1,000 rounds, 1,500 rounds or so, you'll then want to take it apart, really look at what's been collecting the carbon and stuff on the different parts, run solvents and brushes and scrape those things down before, again, lubing and reassembling. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this down like we did in the beginning, and I'll show you which parts need to be wiped down, what you're looking for, and again where to lube everything, throw it back together, and then we'll close the video out. Okay, so we have our rifle, and like always, we are going to make sure it is unloaded and safe. We've locked the bolt to the rear, checking, visualizing that there's no rounds in the chamber. Weapon go on safe, and we're going to use the charging handle to return the bolt forward. Don't let it slam forward. Just go ahead and pull back and let the bolt ride controlled. We're going to use takedown pins to separate the lower from the upper. That also helps to remove the sling. We'll start with the upper, using the charging handle to get a grip on the bolt carrier group, and then dropping the charging handle out. Just a basic rag will do. Kind of wipe everything down. Nothing special. Just getting all the carbon and the oil or lube off here. Push the bolt in, get the pin out. Drop the firing pin. You can see the firing pin there. It's got lots of lube and carbon built up. Spin that cam pin, drop the bolt out. A little slippery there. There we go. And again, you're just wiping everything down. Get the bolt face. Cam pin. Firing pin. You can see how the ring there, it'll collect a lot of carbon. Doesn't take a whole lot, just hit your fingertip and kind of rotate it through. Doesn't have to be super clean. Again, you're just getting the bulk of that carbon off. Just run a quick wipe down that charging handle. And then you can see in there, just a quick wipe down. It's nothing crazy. You don't need to get any real special tools. You can use your fingers, just kind of wiping out the inside of the receiver there. Into the chamber, again, just your finger. For the trigger pocket, we want to make sure not to let the hammer go forward against the magwell, against the bolt release. Put it on fire and use your finger to hold it so it doesn't come flying forward. Squeeze the trigger and apply pressure to the hammer and let it ride forward against your finger. And again, wiping it off. Nothing crazy. Get down in there. Make sure to place it back on safe so you don't accidentally drop the hammer. And then we're going to use this lube that I made. They call it Sriracha. It's just grease and engine oil mixed together. If you'd like to look that up on your own, you can go ahead, Sriracha. And then honestly, any other bottled branded gun lube will work for this application. This is just what I like to use. So we're getting the bottom rails of the bolt carrier there. You can apply this liberally. You want it on top of the gas key, because this is everything where everything's coming into contact with the bolt carrier and the bolt carrier group. I like to place it face up just like that, just so it doesn't fall down and touch anything else. We're using this on the body of the bolt. Just using our fingers over the gas ring. And then you also want the lugs on the bolt. We want to try not to get any on the face of the bolt. If a little bit gets there, it's not a big deal. Drop that in. And then we also want some, I have some on my fingers, but then you want some on the cam pin there. You want to push the bolt down in there. You can see the hole. The ejector will be facing to the outside. Yeah, on this one you can see the logo name is the outside. You're going to slip that in parallel, then spin perpendicular. I'm going to put the firing pin back in through the hole, the rear of the bolt. I'm going to put the cotter pin back in here. Kind of helps just to put a little bit of lube on that just so it gets through there. And sometimes you got to finagle it to get it to fit into the hole, pushing up and against it. You want to pull that forward. Kind of wipe my hands off here. You can also drop some lube down onto the trigger springs. Again, don't let the hammer slam forward, and then just apply a little bit of lube to the springs there. Kind of work that in. Then we're going to put everything in. Charging handle, kind of slide it in, right it up against the top of the receiver so it flows freely. This, you want to make sure the bolt is all the way forward here. The gas key goes up into the channel of the charging handle, and everything goes forward there. Then, making sure the takedown pins are out, we're going to go ahead and place the upper back on the lower. Putting everything back together. And then for a functions check, so you've placed it on safe. We're going to wipe some of this down. Doesn't really matter. Honestly, it helps keep the finish pretty, but also keeps your hands gross. So I'm just going to kind of wipe this down a little bit. So the weapon is on safe. Again, we've cleared and made sure there's no ammo in the beginning of the video, so we don't need necessarily to do that again. But for posterity, we're going to make sure, going to pull back, observe the chamber, make sure there's no ammo. Place the weapon on safe if you haven't already done so. You're going to squeeze the trigger. Nothing should happen. Weapon on fire. You're going to squeeze and hold the trigger. Hear that metallic click. While squeezing and maintaining the hold of the trigger, you're going to charge it, let it go. You're going to release the trigger, you're going to hear a metallic click. That lets you know that the hammer is reset successfully. Then you're going to squeeze the trigger again, listening for another metallic click. And that lets you know that the weapon's been put back together successfully, that you've performed a functions check. So that's about it for my beginner's guide to an AR-15. I've shown you the parts and functions for the AR-15, shown you how to properly disassemble, lube, and reassemble, perform a functions check. Also have shown you how to get out to the range and properly group in zero out at 25 yards, helping you get on paper, helping you get out there and train and shoot as much as you'd like. And then we also covered basic maintenance after each range trip. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, please hit me up in the comments of this video, or you can also email and message me through the college website if you need to. And that's it. Thank you so much.